Every date has a story. Most people never hear theirs. I am Harvey, and this is yours. Today is not just a holiday. Today is the day a group of ordinary men decided to do something extraordinary. They sat in a sweltering room in Philadelphia, picked up a pen, and wrote the sentence that would define an entire nation for the next 250 years. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You have heard those words before, maybe in school, maybe at a ceremony, maybe you have them memorized without even trying. But today, I want you to hear them differently. Because those are not just beautiful words, those are a promise. A promise this country has been working to keep for 250 years. And today, on the 250th birthday of the United States of America, we are going to talk about what it took to make that promise real. Welcome to Harvey Explains. I am Harvey. 3 stories, 1 date. Let us go. Event 1. The day America dared to exist. July 4, 1776. It is July 4th, 1776. Philadelphia. The summer heat is brutal. The Pennsylvania State House is packed with delegates from 13 colonies, many of whom have not slept in days. Outside this room, the British Empire, the most powerful military force on the planet, is preparing to crush them. Inside this room, they are about to commit an act of treason. The Committee of 5 had spent weeks drafting the document. Thomas Jefferson, a 33-year-old Virginia lawyer who had never given a major speech in his life, wrote almost every word of it. John Adams pushed for it, Benjamin Franklin sharpened it, and after 2 grueling days of debate, revision, and argument, on the afternoon of July 4, 1776, the Second Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence. 12 colonies voted yes. New York abstained, not yet authorized by their legislature to vote. Not a single colony voted no. Now here's what most people miss about that moment. These men were not acting out of certainty. They were not sure they were going to win. In fact, most of them quietly believed they probably would not. They were acting out of conviction, the belief that some things are worth doing even when you are not sure how they end. George Washington had fewer than 20,000 soldiers, most of them untrained, badly equipped, facing an empire with the most professional army in the world. And they voted yes anyway. Think about that for a second. If those men had flinched that afternoon, if just enough of them had gotten cold feet in that hot room in Philadelphia, you would not be watching this video in English right now. This country, this holiday, this moment, none of it exists without that vote. The Declaration of Independence was not just a political document, it was a moral argument to the entire world. That government exists to serve the people, not the other way around. That when a government fails that purpose, the people have not just the right, but the duty to change it. That idea, radical at its core, went on to inspire revolutions across 3 continents: France, Latin America, Eastern Europe. The Declaration did not just create the United States, it gave the modern world a blueprint for what freedom could actually look like. Thomas Paine, whose pamphlet Common Sense had helped ignite the revolution months earlier, said it simply: "We have it in our power to begin the world over again." On July 4th, 1776, they did. Event 2. The day history said goodbye, July 4, 1826. Now here is a story that sounds too perfect to be true, but it is absolutely true, and it is one of the most extraordinary coincidences in American history. July 4th, 1826, exactly 50 years to the day after the Declaration of Independence was adopted. Across the country, Americans are celebrating fireworks, parades, speeches, 50 years of a nation that was never supposed to survive. And on this exact day, within 5 hours of each other, 2 of the last surviving founding fathers die. John Adams, 2nd President of the United States, 90 years old. He passes away in the early evening at his home in Massachusetts. Thomas Jefferson, 3rd President, the man who wrote the Declaration, 83 years old. He passes away that same afternoon at his home in Virginia. Two men who spent years as allies, then years as rivals, then years as friends, again through a beautiful correspondence of letters. Two men whose entire lives had been built around July 4th, 1776, both gone on July 4th, 1826. When John Adams was told he was dying that morning, his final words, spoken quietly, were this: "Thomas Jefferson survives." He was wrong. Jefferson had already died, a few hours earlier, 700 miles away. The entire nation stopped. A coincidence this precise did not feel like a coincidence. It felt like a closing chapter, like history itself had decided that the men who started this story should leave it together on the anniversary of the day they dared to imagine it. The orator Daniel Webster said of both men, "It cannot but seem striking that these two should live to see the 50th year from the date of that instrument, and that they should be called, on such a day, to take their final departure." 50 years, the same day, the same dream. What if they had died on ordinary days, in ordinary circumstances? History would still have recorded their contributions, but it would not have had this moment, this perfectly improbable, somehow beautiful moment that reminded a young nation that it owed everything to the people who built it. Sometimes history gives you exactly the ending the story deserves. Event 3. The day America reached the stars, July 4, 1997. And for our third story, we come forward to 1997, because on July 4th of that year, America did something that would have seemed like pure science fiction to every man who signed the Declaration 221 years earlier. It landed a spacecraft on another planet. NASA's Mars Pathfinder had traveled 120 million miles through deep space over 7 months. On the morning of July 4th, it entered the Martian atmosphere, deployed parachutes, bounced across the surface in a cocoon of airbags, rolled to a stop, opened up, and a small rover named Sojourner drove out onto the surface of Mars. Earth's first interplanetary rover, on Independence Day. NASA chose July 4th deliberately, because exploration, the drive to go further, to see what is over the next horizon, is itself a form of independence, an independence from the limits of what we think is possible. The men in that Philadelphia room in 1776 could not have imagined this. But in a way, they made it possible, because what they signed was not just a document about a country, it was a permission slip for human ambition. We hold these truths to be self-evident, including the truth that we were always meant to reach further. And that brings us to the part of the show I look forward to the most. But today, it is a little different. Today, I am not just talking to people who share a birthday with this date. Today I am talking to every single person watching this, because July 4th belongs to all of us. It belongs to everyone who has ever believed that the words life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness means something real. Everyone who has ever been grateful for the freedom to speak, to think, to disagree, to dream, to fail, and to try again. And today, more than anything, I want to say thank you. Thank you to every man and woman who put on a uniform and stood between this country and the things that would have destroyed it. Thank you to those who never came home. Thank you to the families who sent someone they loved into the unknown and waited. Some are still waiting. You are the reason this date is worth celebrating. The fireworks tonight are beautiful. The barbecues are perfect. The parades are loud and wonderful and exactly right. But underneath all of it, underneath every sparkler and every anthem and every flag, is a truth worth saying out loud on this day of all days. This country was built by people who believed in something bigger than themselves. People who were scared and imperfect and uncertain about how it would all end, and who showed up anyway. Have a wonderful Independence Day. Hold the people you love a little closer tonight, and take one moment, just one, to think about the people who made this day possible. Happy birthday, America! 250 years old, and still worth fighting for. Before you go light up those fireworks, one quick thing. If you enjoyed today's episode, hit subscribe and leave a like. And if you know someone whose birthday is coming up, share this channel with them. Because every single day on Harvey Explains, we tell the stories of what happened on that exact date in history. And at the end of every episode, there is a birthday message waiting for you on your day. Subscribe now. Your birthday episode is already in the making. I am Harvey. This has been On This Day, Happy 4th. And I will see you tomorrow.